Welcome to the Total Boss Podcast, and I'm your host, Christiano Green, a podcast where we talk about finding fulfillment through self-development, being a leader of your own life, and getting the most out of it as well. Tenacity, originality, talent, authenticity, and being legendary. It's all about living your best life. Hello, all you total bosses out there, and welcome to another episode of the Total Boss Podcast. I am your host, Christiano Green, and I am a gay men's relationship coach, helping gay men to attract and create happy, healthy, long-lasting, loving relationships in their life, no matter their own experiences in their past with relationships. So this week on the podcast, I really wanted to jump in and talk about, I did a post a couple of days ago that was called A Lot Can Change If You Choose It To. And I kind of, gave a little bit of a brief kind of, description of, how it has been for me over the last 5 years, especially on the journey to looking for love. But, in your post, there's only so much you can write. There's not really a lot of detail that you can go into without it going on and on and on and on. And to be honest, most people don't want to read 5 million words. So I thought I'd jump onto the podcast and really share in a bit more detail, because I did get a lot of questions from people behind the scenes. So really, where was I 5 years ago? So me as a person 5 years ago, I was the kind of person that, I was avoiding, my feelings. I was avoiding my struggles. I was avoiding dealing with problems in my life. Where was I? Really, what I was doing, I was drinking pretty much every single day, finding any excuse to do that, to go out with friends for dinner, to go out on the weekend. I'd be partying on the weekend, taking drugs, all of those things there, all in the hopes that I'd maybe one day find someone to love. Because my whole idea, was that I'd go out every weekend, that maybe this weekend I'll meet someone, right? I was doing that for 15 odd years to be fair, and, really didn't get me very, very far. So, when that wasn't happening, what was I doing? I was, really avoiding dealing with problems, numbing myself from any anxiety, fear, depression, feeling sad, feeling hurt, especially because, I'd been struggling to find anyone. I'd never really dated anyone more than a couple of months. It's never gotten to a place of ever being seriously, never got to a place where, we talked about anything or told people I loved them and any of those things, right? So because I'd never felt that from anyone else, and the way that I grew up, I was really struggling to even love myself. So I was in a really hard place at that point. And, it was just a vicious cycle of keep doing the same things, not getting results, feeling bad about myself, using something to numb myself from the pain. So that was where I was, 5 years ago. And that was a cycle that I've been going into for 10, 15 years, to be fair. It's been a long cycle. And, I had many rock bottom moments in that period of time. And, one came, between that year and the following year. 4 years ago, I was at a place where I'd had a massive bender over the weekend. I was at a really low point. I remember traveling overseas for work. I was in the Philippines. I was in my hotel, and I was on the floor sobbing on my own because of just how much I was just in pain, and I just couldn't get through it. I was feeling so lonely, so depressed, so filled with anxious, just in a cycle of drinking all the time, and just never really feeling satisfied or happy. I remember in that moment, I decided that it was time for me to make a change. And so 4 years ago, I actually went to Peru. And in Peru, I went to do a 2-week ayahuasca retreat. Now, ayahuasca is a plant medicine that they use, and it's made from a root of a tree in the Amazon jungle. And basically what it does is it's kind of a psychedelic. It has you going inwards and kind of dealing with some trauma and pain that maybe you're going on in the internal world. So they call it medicine because it's actually there to help you release yourself from that trauma by processing it throughout, those experiences. So I did that, and I did the ayahuasca plus other things, over 7 times over the 2 weeks, and allow myself to really kind of really let go of a lot of baggage that I've been holding on to. A lot of stuff that related to me growing up being bullied, growing up, struggling with my identity as a gay man, struggling as my identity as a person, struggling with not loving myself, just so much baggage. And throughout that experience, I was able to let go of 30 odd years of emotional pain and baggage that I'd been carrying. And it was a gift that I'd given myself. And, I remember just going there and, you step away from your phone, you step away from your life. It's kind of you plus all these other people that have come to do the same kind of thing. And you go through the process and you just kind of, make radical shifts and just, really deal with stuff instead of avoiding stuff. You didn't have anything that was a distraction. It was you and your life to deal with and process and just move through. So I remember doing that 4 years ago. And that was a really great start for me to just kind of let go of stuff and start to really uncover, more about myself. Who was I? What was I looking for? Why was I feeling this way? What was causing it? And that kind of, really, really led to a lot more further, discoveries. And I just know on that journey of the next, 12 months, I remember going through a period where I gave up alcohol for 3 or 4 months and was on a really great path. Focusing on myself, kind of allowing myself to go dating again, doing it sober, connecting to people on different levels. Because, before when I was ever going on dates, I'd either get wasted or we both get wasted. Then it might just turn into a one-night stand and never be anything, right? So I decided that, no, I was going to do things differently. I was going to go for walks with people. I was going to go for lunches. I wasn't going to go for drinks. It was going to be a completely different experience. And so I did. I allowed myself to do that. Still had work to do. Still was things that was going on with me. And, I fell back into old habits of kind of, drinking again and going back into parties. Nowhere near as much. It was never as bad, but I did fall backwards a little bit in that. And so that kind of held me off the path. So, move forward to about 3 years ago, I went to Burning Man for the first time. I say the first time, I've only been once, but I know I'm going to go again in my life. And, Burning Man is, it's, a week-long festival that's held in the desert of Nevada, right? The state of Nevada. And, it's very much like a spiritual, a hippie kind of, experience, right? There's a lot of different things that happen. And they say you've got to trust in the dust. But a lot of really what happens is a lot of times people go there with an intention to kind of let go of stuff, to shift something, and you'll always find your answers because it is a very difficult week. And the way that the circumstances led for us, it made it even harder with going through the elements, going through, the struggles of not having a place to properly stay, living in the back of a truck, going through the experience of, being on acid and all of those different things that happened at the festival led to really being broken down to my core. But the thing was, when I broke down to my core and released stuff, it was also able to rebuild again. So I remember going there and I'd been wanting, and I'd wanted to be a coach from a very young age, like early 20s. I remember just really wanting to do it. I'd done my counseling degree. I was thinking counseling was going to be the path, but then it wasn't. And it was something else that led to coaching, right? But I was very much afraid to create a business, to do things on my own. I didn't fully believe in myself. And so me going there was kind of like shedding that level of skin of self-doubt and self-belief so that I could step into someone who felt worthy, who felt good enough to then, make the change, shed the skin, and then just allow myself to really dream and say, yes, this is what I want to have. So I remember going there, really having like a couple of mental breakdowns in the sense of like fully shedding the skin, but then allowing myself to just say like, this is what I want, this is who I am, and allowing myself to do it. So that was about 3 years ago. And I remember leaving there and, I still, had that goal in mind, but it didn't kind of take fruition for a little bit. I remember right to afterwards, I did sign up for an online coaching program. But I didn't actually go ahead and start doing it for quite some time because I still, got caught back up into to normal life. So about 2.5 years ago was when I actually started the coaching business. Now, the reason what was going on at that stage as to why I was able to make it happen then and just not hold hold back was that we jumped into COVID. COVID happened, and, I was working from home, I had all this time alone. Work was crazy, chaotic, stressful, and I just was like, I can't do this anymore. I kept, pushing myself further and further to stay in the corporate, because I had all these feelings of fear and guilt and, things about leaving the business and leaving my massive team behind and all of those things. So really that was holding me back. So I kind of just, decided that, I had all this time. I'm not going out. I'm not doing anything else. Let's start it. So I started doing it then, was very slow to start. I ended up jumping in and doing NLP, a course with one of my coaches, and really going into that and allowing myself to really let go of a lot of emotions that led from anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, shame, a lot of the core negative emotions that are out there, that came from past traumas, past events that had led for me to feel that way. And so going through the process of learning all these skills, but then also releasing all that stuff, really took off from there. So right after that point, I just went full in on my coaching business, and I haven't looked back, to be quite honest. It was like, that was the catalyst that said this was the day that I was going to remember for the rest of my life as the day that I just took off and really soared from there. So it's been a massive journey, right, over those 2.5 years to get to that point. But, it didn't stop there. Over the next 6 months, my business really started to grow, and I started to get, paying clients, and I was really loving what I was doing, helping lots of gay men. And at that time, it wasn't all about relationships. It was helping people who had addictions. I was helping people who start their businesses. I was helping gay men who were struggling to come to terms with themselves, struggle with, family issues. It was a full range of things there that I was focusing people on there as well. And it got to a point where it was growing. And, the amount of time I was having to put into it compared to my current job was like, wow, I've got no time at all. So really about 2 years ago, I decided it was time to really make a proper plan to leave that, corporate life. Like I said, at that time I had a team of 300 people. I was in a very comfortable, high 6-figure salary that was really supporting me well and making me able to, do whatever I wanted in life. But I just was never fulfilled and satisfied. I love being a leader, and that was why it was hard to leave, because I had to build up the team from nothing to 300. And so it was my team, it was my baby almost. It really felt like a baby. So for me, I had to make a 6-month plan so that I could leave the team knowing that, one, we had someone that was going to take over and really know what they were doing, and two, that I had the time to say my goodbyes my way, instead of just, the usual, here's my 30 days, it's time to go. You don't really say goodbye properly. So I did it my way. I had to make it done properly so I could talk to all of my team members, spend time with them, do all the things that I wanted to do, so I felt good leaving and they felt good about what was coming next for them as well. So that was me making a 6-month plan to do that. So that was 2 years ago. And that, over the next 6 months, I did that. I really continued to grow my business, and I planned out and I did all the things that I needed to do for me to be able to leave gracefully and my own unique way. So that led up to about 1.5 years ago, when, April of 2021, where I decided it was time for me to finish. I'd done all the stuff I'd left. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I was living in Sydney, and I decided that place wasn't right for me. And so I'd been to Bali multiple times and decided that, I was called to go there again. I felt it. I wanted a more relaxed life, wanted a more chilled life. I wanted a more spiritual life, and I wanted to allow myself to get back into the things that I wanted out of life, because because of that, what was going on with COVID and everything, I wasn't living. I wasn't I was seeing friends here and there, but over the time of the business, I was not spending time with people, and I was kind of reevaluating friendships and people in my life, because as I'd stopped drinking and partying, a lot of the people that were really close to me kind of weren't close to me anymore. And that was something that I had to come to terms with, to deal with. It was hard, but, I decided that maybe Sydney wasn't right for me right now. And, at that time, Bali was, I was able to get to Bali. It was in between some of the lockdowns in Australia. So there was a small window where if I was moving somewhere overseas for a long period of time, it would allow me. So I'd apply to the government and get myself over there. And because I'd been so busy, I hadn't been dating at all for the last at least year before that. And so I wanted to come to Bali and just allow myself to go on dates again and just have more time and space, because, the reason why I wanted to create my business was to make such a massive impact to so many gay men. But I also wanted to create a lifestyle and life for myself that was mine, that I was the person in the driver's seat, not a passenger of someone else's car. You know what I mean? I really wanted to drive that. So me getting back into that was just like shedding the skin, allowing myself to now evolve, see how this worked, and go to a place like Bali, which I felt got called to do. So yeah, I moved to Bali that time, and I did that. Like I said, continued to grow my business, continued to help more gay men, continued to work really hard on doing all of those things, and then getting in and doing all the other things for myself. It was health and fitness. It was relationships and building new friendships. It was working on my finances along with the business, right? Solving all of those things in life to create a lifestyle for myself where I could continue to travel, do things around, and get back into the dating life. And it was very quickly that when I went back online dating, that I had a few, dates and a few, fun times with people. But probably within, maybe less than 2 months, I actually met my current partner, David. When I first met up, we had a great time. But again, I wasn't looking too far ahead because I was just into to really getting to know people. And so we started to go on a couple of dates, and I started to realize a bit quickly that I really kind of liked this person differently than I had for a very long time. And so over that next 6 months, we really started to see each other probably like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, and like it built up that way to the point where we were spending a lot of time together, and we really started to be boyfriends, to be partners, to actually get into a proper relationship. And it was the first proper one that I'd ever been in my life. And the reason it was different was because I was in a different place with who I was. I was happy. I wasn't focused on needing someone to love me. I was loving myself. And I was really just focused on getting to know people. And is there a connection there? Like, if it is, then can I, explore this, right? So that's what I was doing. And so that over the next 6 months was amazing. And then about 6 months ago, I went back to Australia because, the borders were open. It was visiting my family. It was my mum's 70th birthday, but I went alone. So David stayed back in Indonesia. And I remember going over there for 3 weeks, and we spoke every day, right? All those things. But I just remember realizing how much I missed him and how much I loved him and how grateful I was to have him in my life, because I never, had a partner that for 6 months, never had a partner for more than a couple of months to even call someone a partner. I was dating people, right? So to then have something where I was spending so much time together, then to go overseas and to not be around them, I had this mixed bag of emotions, right? But it was a great feeling. So when I finally came back to Bali was when we decided that we were going to move in together and take our relationship to the next level, which was creating a life together. Right now, that's been amazing over the last 6 months to live together, and we've got to know each other on even deeper levels, through the ups and the downs of getting to know people's, ins and outs, the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, all of those things that you can imagine in relationships can happen, was things that we got to do. We got to travel together. We got to, buy things together, do things that our couples do, cook together, all of those kind of things as well. So throughout that period, I evolved my business and I moved into relationship coaching about that same time, because I was really knowing that, I'd been helping people with relationships and finding love for a long time. And that was one of the common things that, a lot of gay men would come to me about, was as well as other things, was always wanting love, wanting to find a partner. Why can't I get a long-term partner? I only keep dating people. People just want me for sex. And so I evolved into really relationship coaching. And I'm so proud to say that, over the last number of years, I've helped hundreds of gay men, find love, master relationships, and improve all areas of their life. So it's something that has evolved from me 5 years ago being someone who just couldn't fucking go past one date to now to going through a journey. And each step I had to take a step, I had to unload some shed some old skin, and get to a place where I was in a better place with who I am. So the good thing about that was, as I took that journey of my own self-discovery, it led me to be able to help other gay men and to see the transformations that gay men make, and for them to see that and have realizations and find love. it's just a joy. So from someone who struggled so much in even loving themselves, in having relationships with men and dating, to a point where I now can teach and guide people on the foundations and what they need to do to really build proper relationships and find it in their life, is such a joy for me. And it's beautiful now that, it's come full circle that, in just a couple of months' time over Christmas, David's actually going to join me. We're traveling to Australia and we're going to meet all of my family for the first time. So that's going to be, really, really beautiful, right? So I just wanted to share this story because, it may seem from what it looks like online that, I've got it, got it all together. I always have. It may seem that I don't know how tough life can be. It may seem that I haven't been through struggles or pain, that, it's easy for me to find love. It wasn't. The truth is that I've been through some of the darkest times in my life. And if depending on how long you followed me, you would know some of those things, right? And so for me to have gone through the ups and the downs, and to know that if I can do it, I can find love, I can turn my life around and get to this place where I'm at, then, every step forward really comes with healing, growth, transformation, and letting go of those old patterns of behavior that, we all go through patterns of behavior, right? So if I can go through it, if I can do that, if I can make the change, if I can find love, if I can, create happiness and joy in my life, then I really, really know that you guys can do it too, right? So all it really is going to take from you is commitment, showing up and being open to learn. And if you're someone who's, hearing this and really, it makes sense to you or you're relating to this, I'm running a free Looking for Love masterclass. I run them quite often. The next one's coming up in early November. So if you're someone who's struggled as a gay man to find love, struggled to, to go on dates, to figure out why, you've been single for so long, or if you've been single your whole life, if you've struggled to connect to someone, or you've been in toxic relationships and they just keep, you just keep feeling dejected, almost giving up on love, as all. Don't give up. Come and check out my free masterclass. It's free. It goes for 2 hours. It's only going to cost you 2 hours of your time and an openness to hear what I'm saying, so I can show you how I've done it myself, how I've helped hundreds of other gay men do that as well, but most importantly, how you can do it too. So if you're someone who is listening to this and this, feels like you're called to do this, come and reach out to me. Send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you know me, right? LinkedIn, whatever, come and find me, come to the masterclass and let me prove to you how I can get you what you're looking for, which is love. Because at the end of the day, everyone's looking for love. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I trust it's been a valuable episode. You know where I am. Leave me questions, leave me comments. Let me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you loved. And I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. But always remember that you have got this and I've got you. All right, bye.